Hey, friends, welcome to the final episode of season two of Holy Smoke, Cigars, and Spirituality. This season has gone by really fast on our end. I'm not sure how it feels for you, but we're thankful for the break we're going to have before we come back again, even stronger in 2021. But today we want to go ahead and do an episode on the topic that's on most people's minds, and that is the election. Now that it's been called, and we have to figure out what moving forward looks like. So we're going to get into that. If this is your first time checking out Holy Smoke, Cigars, and Spirituality, we create disruptive, faith based content for the everyday person. So we try to make the information as accessible as we possibly can. I have the privilege of doing this show every week with some of the most brilliant minds you've ever encountered. So to make sure that we don't talk up in the clouds, one thing that we have here is something called the dollar jar, and we use a dollar jar to monitor people's language, not trying to keep people from cussing, but keep people from using big academic words. So if somebody uses an academic word like, say, Myron, who happens to be here today, uh they have to put a dollar in the jar if they don't define that word. So if somebody uses a dollar jar word, you're going to hear this. And chances are you'll be hearing that as Myron gives some type of commentary today. Also, this year we added, or should I say this season, we added another indicator because people make very profound statements on this show. At least I believe so. And usually those come by way of Nikki. So if Nikki, the anchor, gives us a mic drop moment, you're going to hear this. Yes, yes. So we always have fun here. We have one rule at Holy Smokes, one rule only, and that rule is that we respect each other's lived experiences. I'm gonna
Say it again, Doc.
I'm gonna say it again that we respect each other's lived experiences.
One more time.
One more time. We have
One
one
more
rule.
time.
One rule at Holy Smokes that we respect each other's lived experiences, because many times when we have conversations about faith and life and theology, people tend to lift up their doctrine or their theory above somebody's lived experience. So what we challenge people to do here is, if you encounter somebody whose lived experience contradicts your theory or doctrine, take that as an opportunity to learn from what that person has lived. That one rule is rooted in greatest commandment theology. It is a brand of theology I've curated and wrote a book about it. Go order Breaking All the Rules at christianasmith.com. Shameless plug. And the the greatest commandment theology says that your love for God is displayed through how you love your neighbor, which is an extension of how you love yourself. Therefore, you can't fully love God if you don't love your neighbor, and you can't fully love your neighbor if you don't love yourself. We base everything on that rule right there. You got to know how to love yourself if you want to love other people. And you can start by respecting people's lived experiences, including and especially your own. Very, very important. So, shout out to everybody in Patreon who supports us. You help us to make this work possible. Thank you for joining us today in the live virtual audience. Shout out to everybody on the podcast platforms. If you're listening on Apple, please do drop us a review, share it with people that you know. My team has been getting on me about converting over to Apple products. And if you Apple users, give us enough comments on Apple Podcasts, you might convince me to get an Apple product. So put Nikki said no. She doesn't want me to get sucked into the web of Apple.
You get stuck. You get there, you're stuck.
Yeah, yeah. But my wife actually did get set free. She was an Apple user, and it was one of those situations where she had an issue with her phone. She thought it would be a quick fix, and then she went to the store and they were like, "Oh no, you got to get a whole new this or a whole new that." She was like, "I'm
Maybe I
done."
maybe I need a session with your wife and she can help me work through my issues to separate myself from the apple verse.
We'll set up an appointment as soon
All
as
right,
this
all
is
right.
over.
She can help me work through some of my issues.
Yeah. Go over to
Yeah,
therapyandtheology.com and schedule a session
He
today.
wants to
will
be
will
free.
do. Will do.
He wants to be free.
I love it.
She has religious trauma. Maybe I have apple trauma she can help me with.
Yes. Because she had to work through her own apple
Yeah, there's
trauma.
a lot to, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes, yes. So we're gonna go ahead and get into our introductions today. Today, I want you to tell us, what are you drinking, what are you smoking, and then, does it feel different now that the election is over? And if it does, how does it feel different? I'm gonna go ahead and just start with Myron. Myron, go ahead and introduce yourself and answer that question. Does it feel different now that the election is called?
Myron the Mystic, not smoking because I'm inside, but I am drinking a little coffee with a little Parsons proof in it. Shout out to Greg Deloach, who we haven't seen much this season, but shout out to you, Greg. Does it feel different that the election has been called? So, yes. One, because you've always got that, you know, Christmas Eve anticipation before an election as to what's going to happen the next day. Are you going to get the gift that you wanted? Are you going to get the cold because you know you really deserve the cold, but do you get the gift? And so we have that anticipation, which is gone. And we know now who it is going forward. And we're a little bit relieved, but at the same time, we're a little anxious because how do we now hold his feet to the fire just as we held the others to the fire? So it's a little bit of kind of a mixed anticipation. All right, so that's what I'm thinking.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Nikki, what about you?
Yeah, sure. So, hi, I'm Nikki Hardiman. They call me the anchor here on Holy Smokes. It's so good to be here today. I'm double fisting this morning with some delicious black coffee that we're close to being done with. And I've got a little Four Roses small batch. I know that's one of Christian's favorites. So I picked it up yesterday at the store. And I'm smoking the Holy Smokes stick, the Maduro. I'm
The sweet
enjoying it.
Maduro.
Sweet Maduro. It's quite
Yes.
good. I finally worked up to it. I've, I was the new cigar smoker when I started this, and so I would always go for lighter cigars, and I'm enjoying the Maduros now. So making
Congratulations.
progress. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like I'm really in now. So and does it feel different? Yes, now that the election is over, I'm very much like Myron. There was a lot of anxiety leading up to it. How was it going to come out? Because it was a little scary and a little nervous making. And now that it's been called and we know where we're going, a lot of that anxiety is gone. But it's replaced with a new concern, very much like what Myron said, is, are we going to just be so tired from the last 4 years that we're not going to have the energy to continue the work? Because we all know we're not done. We all know that there will always be more work to do. And so can we sustain the energy and progress that has happened, particularly last year, to continue to move forward with new leadership?
Yes, ma'am. That's fair. That's fair. We had a virtual gathering for our Holy Smokes community earlier this week, where we discussed election reflections. And if you're listening to us on any platform and you'd like to be a part of those conversations where we talk to each other, please do either follow us on Instagram or join our Holy Smoke Cigars and Spirituality group on Facebook. And you can join us when we have these monthly gatherings. We love to hear your voice and know who our listeners are and actually see your face and interact with you. So we had a conversation about this on Tuesday, and everybody who's participating in the show today, you know, has mixed feelings about the election being called and what that looks like. The one person I really wish was available today, we have a cast of 8 people that kind of cycle in and out. I really wish Grayson could have been here today, because I feel like he would have added some more nuance to this conversation, because Grayson was exuberant, excited, just like he said it was the best day of his life. He went out into the streets and he celebrated and he danced. And, I just thought,
The kid was on
He
CNN. I don't know if you saw
yeah,
it.
He was.
He was.
I saw it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
I'm looking like, is that Grayson? Oh my God.
It
And he was on
was.
CNN and wasn't he on CNN in two different outfits? How did he pull that off?
Wardrobe changes. I'm usually
Exactly.
the one that changes
I love
wardrobe.
Maybe Grayson will get the new fancy moniker.
That's it. We give it to Grayson.
Right, right. So I was hoping to hear some of his feedback because he processed the election differently than we did, and it would have been great to hear. But everybody can't be available every week. But I think that's important because um, the thing that we try to do here is make sure we respect everybody's lived experience. So just because I have mixed feelings doesn't mean I'm going to bash somebody who's just super excited, right?
Mhm.
Like I can't put my mixed feelings on them and they can't force their excitement on me. So we sit down
Right.
and we have a conversation. So, that's one of the important things that we try to do here. So I said all that to say, now that the election is called, I'm relieved and disappointed. And I'll go into that as we get into this conversation. And I'm doing my introduction backwards. I'm Christian, the heretic. I'm smoking a Cuban sandwich. I was telling the team about it. Uh,
That's a
ba-
bad mamma jamma there, I tell you.
I gotta
yeah,
try one.
yeah. I'm gonna get everybody a Cuban sandwich. I went to school at Alabama A&M University, so I have a lot of ties to Huntsville, Madison County. And there's one of the cigar shops out there where they carry this Cuban sandwich, and it's a value buy. Like it doesn't have a label. Um, it's not on the top shelf. The owner of the spot actually had to tell me about it, and he said it'll put you in the mindset of Perdomo, but it's only $4. And I said, well, if I don't like it, I only spent $4. And man, I love this stick. I buy them by the handful. So that's what I'm smoking today. And I'm having in honor of the Kingmaker a Cafe Royale. And Cafe Royale is coffee, agave, cream, and then my chaser, or what I topped it off today with, was Uncle Nearest 1884.
Nice.
So shout out
Nice.
to Uncle Nearest. We're gonna get
Uncle
them on the. We're gonna get somebody from Uncle Nearest on one of our episodes in season 3. I'm gonna.
Listen, Uncle Nearest, this is our invitation to you.
Please come. We would love to
We
hear
want to
you.
chat with you.
I'm gonna
Yes.
put. I'm gonna put Myron on the spot. I'm gonna hold Myron to it that he gets us Uncle Nearest.
Yes.
Good. I love having an accountability partner in Christian.
But don't
put you on the
Christian
spot.
There it
I
is.
think I get the feeling that you don't pick Christian for an accountability partner unless you actually want to be held accountable.
Oh yeah, you really want some accountability.
Like you gotta really want it.
I thought about asking them to help me work out, but I was like, nah, I don't want to work out that. No, I'm,
Right? Yeah.
I'm good. I don't. I want to pass. I want somebody to be like, I understand.
Let's sleep in today.
Yeah,
Let's try again.
not what you gonna give us, Smith.
No, Christian isn't gonna let you
Not what
sleep
you-
in. I know this. I have
I'm gonna get
learned
that
this.
call at 5:45. Man, you said this were your goals.
Yep,
You
yep.
said you wanted to get up and exercise. So I'm just calling you because you said this is what you wanted to do.
Yes.
Y'all not gonna do me like this. Not today.
The truth. Just telling the truth.
Let's go to the cigar tip of the day. Tiger got us started at the beginning of the season with Tiger's cigar tip. And then Curvance came in with Curvance's cigar corner. And then Myron came in with Myron's cigar moment. So to finish the season off,
Here it
we're
is.
going to finish with Myron's cigar moment. Myron, help us out, man.
There it is, folks. I'm the last man standing. That should speak for itself. This is your cigar tip for today. This actually is a response to a viewer request. Somebody asked me, well, Myron, how do you choose your cigars? Some days I want something that's a little spicy, and some days I want something a little bit milder. And so I want to give you my key to understanding the flavor profile of your cigars. It's actually pretty simple. So earlier in the season, Kervans talked to us about the various parts of the cigar, meaning that it's all made of tobacco, but there is the filler and there is the wrapper. If you want to understand the spice level of your cigar, you should look at the wrapper. If you want something that's a little bit spicier, that's got a little bit more punch to it, choose a darker wrapper, usually called a Maduro wrapper. And you'll find that your cigar has a little bit more heft to it. Nikki alluded to it a little bit earlier when she talked about, hey, the Holy Smoke stick, the dark chocolate Maduro there has a little bit more heft. And it does. It's a great stick, but it's got a bit more punch. If you want something a little bit more mellow, again, look at the wrapper. A lighter wrapper rather, will be a Connecticut wrapper. And it's a smoother cigar. A lot of folks call them a daily smoke because it's something that you can smoke every day and just enjoy it because the wrapper is smooth and lends to a smoother flavor for your cigar. So when you are choosing a cigar and you want to know, what flavor or what profile you want, remember this axiom. It's often said, but it still remains true, that the darker the wrapper, the spicier the stick. That's my cigar tip of today.
Thank you, sir. That is some really good insight, because people who are new to cigars and need that help, that's very important. Like, start with something lighter because it's an experience.
Listen, my first cigar was a mistake. I was in my backyard grilling, thinking, I'm going to unwrap this cigar, and I had gotten a painkiller. I should have known.
Oh, God, not a painkiller your first time out?
You called a painkiller. That this wasn't where I should have started. And the funny part, it didn't kill any pain. It induced some.
No.
I smoked that thing for about 15 minutes and then I was done. I felt nausea. I had to go lay down. I burned all the damn chicken. I had to go lay down on the couch in the living room.
I had a Maduro before I was ready. That was not a fun evening.
No, you know.
Yes, everybody who is watching, please start light. Go slow. Look for a Connecticut.
Yeah.
Work your way up.
And here's my tip. If you're new to cigars and you go into a cigar shop, ask for help.
Yes.
The people who work in cigar humidors want to help you. That's like, it makes them excited to be able to help.
Passion.
Yeah, so when you go in and say, this is my first time smoking a cigar, what should I do? They're going to light up like, oh, well, let me show you this and let me show you this. This is a good starting stick. One thing I'll say is when you get started, don't inhale. I haven't done a cigar tip all season, so let me say that to anybody who is new to cigars. Do not inhale.
That is the truth.
If you're used to smoking cigarettes or smoking cannabis or smoking whatever, if you've done vaping or hookah, all that stuff you inhale, do not inhale this. It's too potent.
Yeah.
Don't inhale cigars.
And you'll know if you did.
Oh, yeah.
You will know. You'll feel it immediately. Oh,
yes.
Lungs will burn.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You don't inhale cigars. You just pull in the smoke, you hold it, and you blow it right back out. And it's potent enough to give you that relaxed feeling without having to inhale it. And then the last thing I'll say is the closer you get to the end, the more potent it becomes.
Yep,
that's true.
So right here, the potency is pretty consistent. Once I get about to right here,
third, I'll tell you,
I'm gonna feel it so much more. That last third of the cigar. So take your time. The deeper you get into the cigar, that's where I messed up the first time I smoked the cigar. I didn't inhale. I knew not to inhale, but I didn't know how potent it would get in that last third. And I'm just pulling on it and I'm having a good time. Me and my fiance, my now wife, we out in Vegas and I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. And that final third got me.
Well, that sounds just like Christian Smith. We gonna finish this cigar. We committed to the end. I'm gonna smoke this whole cigar. And
nobody told me.
That's what happened.
You told me, Christian, and that helped me. Like, there is no shame in not finishing your first cigar. If you start to feel like, oh, it's a lot, just put it down.
Put it down.
Trust us. Just put it down.
Just put it down.
It'll be down. You can get another stick. You can get you a Cuban sandwich,
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
Absolutely. This is Holy Smokes. If you're interested in cigars, I mean, we want you to know how to do it. Don't overindulge. That's what all this is about. For those people who think that we're going to hell because we smoke cigars,
They should
you got
listen to one of our previous episodes.
they should and recognize that we're not encouraging anybody to engage in overindulgence. Everything in moderation.
Sure
So
enough.
you have to know yourself and what you can handle and how to move forward. So
Mhm.
that's it on the cigar tips for today. Let's really dig into this topic of election
Ooh, boy.
reflection because the election has officially been called, and I'm using that language intentionally. The election has been called in favor of Joseph Biden. I believe he
Mhm.
had 306 electoral college votes.
Yeah.
So I think what I want us to discuss is just as we look back on it, what are our reflections? What did we learn? What was confirmed? What surprised us? And then at the end of this, what do we do now? So, Nikki, I want you to start and anchor us a little bit.
Please anchor us, Nikki. Please.
Please share with us what are some
We
thoughts
need
you have?
Whew. So as I said before, there is a relief that has come with this, right? There were lots of us who were very anxious about the idea of another 4 years of the same that we've had, knowing that it would just continue to get harder and harder for those who are the most vulnerable in our society, for lots of reasons. And so there's this relief that is appreciated. I am grateful that I have that I feel like there is now maybe some room to figure out how we move forward. And I'll say that as I looked at the numbers and as I read some things about how much Joe Biden won by, I was even more encouraged because it really was significant how he won. That much of the country came out to vote, the largest voting numbers we've had in a long time, which that's good. All of that is good. I want everybody to vote. I want every single American to get out and vote. You asked what was confirmed. And I think for me, the most disappointing confirmation for me was when I looked at the numbers of how white women voted. And because we know in the last election, 53% of white women voted for Donald Trump. And this time, 55% of white women voted for Donald Trump. So that increased. So white women dug in. They stuck their high heels in and they said, we're not moving. And I understand from my perspective that voting for Donald Trump was a vote against women, just because of policies that I don't appreciate that he has had. And so what makes me the saddest about all of that is that white women chose to lean into the privilege of being white over the lack of privilege of being a woman. And that is a privilege that white women have. But when we do that, we deny what life is like for women of color in this country. And it's a statement that white women chose not to stand with women of color. And that it makes me so sad. Like last election, I was angry about that. I was shocked, angry, pissed was the right word for that. This time I just feel so sad. So that's where I have been sitting. And that's the piece that has been kind of rumbling around for me. That's the piece I've been wrestling with. I don't know how to anchor that. I want so much to see a shift in those numbers, to see that white women have understand that when they stand for women of color, or when they stand with women of color in the way that they vote, that they are also standing for themselves. So but anyway, that's something for me that has been frustrating. And the last thing I'll say is my vote was really mostly for Kamala. I was like the fact that she was on the ticket delighted me. And I understand there's lots of nuance in all of that across the board, that and there are problems with everybody that was on every ticket. Like there are challenges no matter who was going to get it. There was going to be challenges, there was going to be things that we needed to be different. But watching Kamala has been a true joy. And I think it's because I believe her joy. I believe the joy that is on her face. She seems very authentic. And that has been a joy for me. But yeah, I have been wrestling with the numbers about how white women voted.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that and bringing that to the forefront, because of course it resonates better when it's a white woman speaking to other white
Yeah.
women.
Yeah.
Because as a black man, my voice is only going to go so far
Sure.
because of my blackness and my manhood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I do have the privilege of being a man, but I have the marginalization of being black.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for bringing that to the forefront. Myron, what are your thoughts, man?
Boy, now if I'm a bit redundant here, please forgive me. I'm still sincere. I think what I realized is that the church has just become the religion of the state. That we have, I mean, in the evangelical church, I'm speaking of my brothers and sisters in the evangelical church, and I'm a part of that movement. You understand? I was educated in an evangelical institution, right? I partook in evangelical type things. So I'm fully a part of the movement. But we have laid in bed with the emperor, and we have said that he is our king, and we have made him our God. We have made Christianity without Jesus. And Donald Trump is the one who's in charge, which is so sad because we have watched him consistently over and over ignore American lives, not just American lives, ignore humanity.
Yeah.
And not care about people. But we as a church have been so drunk with power and so drunk with access that we thought this is okay because at least we get to call him. At least we get to have a conversation with the president. The president likes us.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really like us. But it looks like he likes us.
Right.
And so we have co-opted and we have done whatever he asked us to do because we liked the power and the access and the closeness. Because we thought that we would get what he got by association. He's got towers gilded in gold. And if we could call him, then ultimately our towers would be gilded in gold. And that's not how it works in any way. That's not how it works in any way. And so that's the horrible confirmation that I think I've gotten from this election. You know, the pandemic should have been it. I mean, at 100,000 deaths, we should have been like, this guy's got to go. At 150,000 deaths, this guy's got to go. We're at 250,000 deaths. And we've still got people laying on pulpits praying to God to overturn the election results because we want him to stay.
And doing push-ups.
Prophetic push-ups. You know what I mean?
Prophetic push-ups.
What is that foolishness? Thank you.
So you deserve that mic drop. I'm also going to push back a little bit.
Go for it.
Did the church just become tied in with the state? Because the evangelical church in the United States has always been tied to the same thing that runs the state, which is white supremacy. And there has never been a president that challenged the reality of white supremacy quite like Barack Obama did, not because of his policies, but because of his office. The fact that he, as a black man, ascended to this office it pushed back to a certain extent against the idea of white supremacy. And Trump is a white lash against white supremacy being
Yes.
threatened.
Yes.
And I don't believe the church just got in bed with the state,
Oh,
but
no.
it's been that way. The church
Mhm.
has always been in bed with the state, but now the church ties it to a particular individual rather than the system that gives it its power. Because now it's not socially acceptable to stand on white supremacy. That's all it is. The church had always stood on white supremacy. It was rooted in, I mean, it was a part of everything that the evangelical church did. But now it can't, like Blake just said, they can't do it as blatantly. So they don't tie it to white supremacy. They tie it to Trump when Trump represents white supremacy in very clear ways.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Myron?
I think now it's made clear.
Okay.
Right. So in previous administrations, you could say, I'm not sure. I mean, the line was blurry. But at this point, we have drawn a line in the sand. And we have seen, we're praying from angels from Africa to overturn election results. It is clear. There is no going,
Right.
you can't crawfish and deny on this one. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what I mean, that it has made it clear and exposed it at a level that it's never been exposed before, that there is this division here.
Just real quick before we go any further, we have a special guest sighting backstage. Special guest. We're going to bring this guest on right now.
Hey,
Look at that.
hey, Curvance.
The Kingmaker, Curvance Ross, is in the building.
Come on in, my friend.
He's got his Cafe Royale. Ross, what are you smoking? What are you drinking, man?
Man, I am on this Cuban sandwich, and
Theme of the day, Doc. Theme of the day.
I gotta get me one.
drinking my signature Cafe Royale, and sorry, I had to do some fatherly, pastoral, and household duties this morning. As soon as I got everything squared away, I saw the title and was like, I got to jump on this right away. So thank you all for letting me join.
Absolutely.
Can I give y'all a Kingmaker quote that I've been chewing on all week long, folks?
Please do.
Curvance Ross said this. He said, leadership is like love. It's the thing that everybody's been hurt by, but it's the thing that everybody longs for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Curvance Ross, ladies and gentlemen.
Curvance
Ross. That's the last time I'm going to give him credit for it. I said it now.
Yours now.
I did it publicly. I acknowledged it. If you hear me say it, it's now mine.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one. Curvance led a retreat for the leadership team at the faith community this week. We had a great time, got a lot done. I think our team is moving forward in a great and productive ways. So shout out to the Kingmaker for that. Ross, since you're here, we've already gotten started. What are your thoughts? What did the election confirm for you? And then was there anything that you learned from the election?
Yeah. White people are racist. America.
Okay.
America is so racist that when black people go out to vote, the only response America has to it is, this has got to be rigged or somebody stole it. And thirdly, that we have not really come to grips with the fact that one man, based off of racism, has reshaped democracy forever. Because now it is going to be almost impossible to get back to normal, because we've conditioned people to craziness for so long that normal looks boring. So I think it's going to be a real challenge. And the hit he's made on our American democracy. I was at a dinner meeting last night, and a gentleman came and sat down with me who was a very prominent operator of the facility. And he said, the challenge is they stole the election. And we had to have a conversation. And I realized I wasn't going to win the conversation because I have to leverage his authority in the space to not marginalize him for follow-up in that same space. But he's what he considers a conservative Republican. But because of the person that's represented them, although he says with his mouth, I know that Donald Trump is crazy. I know he goes off the hinges. I know he's emboldening racism. It's still, we need to change how we vote, because this election has showed us that there's thievery on every hand. Like, where are all these votes coming from? He won the popular vote. He won the electoral. Man.
Yeah, I think
it's
okay.
just, it's a different space, man.
You know what's funny? I was thinking about that and how with this election, the narrative from the GOP is that Democrats stole the election. And it's so amazing to me because of the level of hypocrisy. When Trump won in 2016, everybody who voted against Trump or voted for Hillary, however you voted, was upset because Hillary actually won the popular vote. So we were frustrated that the majority of the population could vote for one candidate and they still lose. And there was a lot of talk about we need to do something about a system where people go out and vote. The majority of them vote for one person, but then that person still loses, right? And people were obviously upset. Like, she won the popular vote. Now, as far as I can remember, in 2016, there weren't any terrorist groups threatening a civil war because Hillary lost. There weren't any groups threatening violence at every turn because Hillary lost. That, there was all this speculation about Russia, and much of that was confirmed. I never even got into the whole Russia thing. I was like, look, Trump won. It is what it is. I don't care what y'all find about Russia. It's not going to change the fact that Trump won, and Trump won within the system that we have. And we believe that system is flawed, but hey, it is what it is. And yes, we were upset. We were frustrated. And the GOP was saying, you guys are sore losers and you just don't want to accept the results. 4 years later, 4 years later, not even the complete reverse, because again, Joe Biden won the popular vote by at least 5 million, if my memory serves me correctly. And now they're saying it was cheating, fraud, and here's something that I learned. And I don't remember exactly where I learned it. So whoever said this, forgive me. This is how propaganda works. Because right now we're in this propaganda cycle where people are only listening to the people who confirm their biases. So the way propaganda works is it is used to justify hate rather than explain it. It's used to justify hate rather than explain it. Propaganda says, I hate what happened. I don't really have any evidence to support my argument or my hatred. So I'm going to put out these lies to justify it because I don't have the evidence to explain it. And
well deserved, sir. Well deserved.
that's what's happening right now. That is what's happening right now. And I'm just, it makes my skin crawl. I can't, like, I know a lot of people are putting up these side by sides of Fox reporters in 2016 versus Fox reporters in 2020, and they're saying they're completely contradicting themselves at every single turn, but it doesn't matter to their followers. The people who watch them don't care. So all of this hypocrisy that we're pointing out, it doesn't mean anything because their followers don't care about the hypocrisy. They want the propaganda. And that is frustrating as shit.
So, a bonus that I've learned about the election is that white evangelicals don't seemingly serve the same Jesus that I serve. Because Paula White's son made a statement that this video is going viral. And if you watch the entire video, it is almost nauseating. He stated in this moment where she's calling on the angels from Africa that your faith should be of the sort that you can say, and I'll say it for you, if Trump doesn't win, I'll never preach the gospel again. And I'm
Awesome.
so confused.
Awesome. Don't preach.
That you
Is
would
that a
say
resignation?
Dude, he said it, it's recorded. Well, we know that Trump didn't win, but you would leverage the call of God on your life for an individual that you are having a political parallel and a financial growth spurt from, against the people who helped you get into ministry and standing on their backs to say, now that I have arisen, let me now stand on your throat again and minimize the God that I told you you were serving, because that's not him. I've switched to another one.
Wait, no. Hold up. Wait. You said the call of God. That's the problem. Listen to what he said. If Trump doesn't win, I'll stop preaching, which means it wasn't the call of God on his life. It was the call of white supremacy on his life. And if I can't preach white supremacy from the pulpit, then I won't preach at all.
My God. My God.
So the challenge with that is, Christian, is most people's perspective of God is white supremacy.
Yes.
And that's the major challenge, is that the God they serve is the God of the white supremacist. And when that happens and he doesn't reign on their behalf, he now is the person that I can put my pink slip into on the public, because obviously God is not in this. And for the next 4 years, Satan is getting ready to reign because there's no more supremacy on behalf of white people.
Yeah. And there are a lot of white supremacists, and I want to make sure I'm clear here. White supremacy does not just mean white people. White people and white supremacy are two totally different things, because there are a lot of people of color who aspire to whiteness. So there are people who push back.
Oh, wait a minute. You can't go past that. Say that again.
There are
a lot of people of what now?
There are a lot of people of color who aspire to whiteness. They want to enjoy the privileges of whiteness, so they get in bed with white supremacy, hoping that they'll get at least some portion, some crumbs from the table of white supremacy. That's what Myron was talking about. Like, they saw what Trump had and said, if I can hitch my wagon to him, I can get what he has. That's what a lot of people of color do. We just want, like, Lil Wayne.
Christian, I'm confused right now. You gotta open this up. So you said there are black people, and I'm not trying to be stupid. You said something that changed a whole dynamic for me. I know there are black people who want to be able to live the same lifestyle that whiteness allows white people to live. But you said that there are black people who are so endeavored and connected and dreaming to have what white supremacy provides. Explain that to me.
because so it's one thing to want to have a comfortable life and want to make money and so on and so forth. It's another thing to completely disregard the lived experience of entire groups of people and hitch your wagon to white supremacists so that you can hopefully get some of what they have. That's totally different. I want to be rich. I do. I'm not going to go following behind Lindsey Graham, hoping that he can help me get rich, meaning I have to shit on everybody in my community. I'm not going to hitch my wagon to Trump so I can get rich. I'm going to try to work hard. I'm going to try to build meaningful relationships. I'm going to try to put out great product and great content. And hopefully that will provide wealth for my family for generations to come. But I'm not trying to dog anybody else out in the process. And what happens is people have hitched their wagon to white supremacy in the pulpit. So any reading of the gospel that doesn't support the white supremacist reading, they reject it. You have people who have said, oh, there's this whole social gospel, social justice gospel. Jesus wasn't about social justice. What the hell have you been reading about Jesus? Somebody please help me.
What book did you read? Right? It's different Bible. Different
Nikki,
Bible.
say something. Come on. Like, you have some thoughts. I know you do.
I've been sitting over here thinking, and the story of Jacob and Esau keeps coming to my mind. And it started with something Curvant said about Paula White, how she, and you came in with a nuance on it, Christian, but he said she forsook her calling. And it just made me keep thinking about how Esau forsook his birthright for a bowl of soup. It is something that may satisfy in the moment, but it doesn't last. So that's what I just keep thinking about is Esau gave up his birthright in order to have a bowl of soup. And I think that is kind of what this feels like. White supremacy doesn't satisfy. You have to keep getting more and more and more and more and more for it to continue to fill you up, and it never quite does it. So that's what I just keep thinking about.
All right, well, thank y'all for letting me come in this late. I'm going to go right back out and go back to where I came from. I appreciate you, Nikki. I love you. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Y'all be blessed. Be good to God, and God will be good to you. Because I can't say no more.
May the Lord watch between you and I as we go our separate ways.
Oh, wow.
Lee.
Wow. Randall, come on, man. I know you got some thoughts.
The other day, I got asked to do a session for some multi-level marketers because they were interested in getting money. And their director said that they're so interested in getting money that I'm concerned that they haven't got their heart space correct, that their interior lives are off. And so we looked at that passage in the book of Mark, the 8th chapter, where it says, what does it profit a person to gain the whole world and lose his soul? And that's what I kept thinking about when Nikki just gave us that Esau story, right? If you lose your soul, you've lost it, right? Because Jesus doesn't condemn them about profit. Yeah, go profit. But he does caution them about loss, that some things that are lost cannot be recovered.
Right.
And so you gotta care for your soul, because if you lose it, you lose the essence of who you are.
So I guess my challenge is I got to go back to last season, because I think it's worth bringing back up. This election has made me realize that we got to stop dissing the devil, because white people are worse than the devil in this space. Simply because I can't fathom, as much as Nikki has done something for me that almost doesn't make me feel like she's white.
Hold Hold
She
up.
see.
Before you continue, because we have 10 more minutes,
Sure.
and
I'm
I
sorry.
want to give no. I want you to finish. I just want to establish what we got to do to get out of here in time. So I want you to finish your thought and take 2 minutes to finish that thought, and then tell us what do we do now, and then I want to hear from Nikki and hear from Myron, and I'll close us out. So go ahead and finish your thought and share with us what do we do from here.
There's a group of white people like Nikki who actually see black people. Uh, they don't see them as an oppressed um, group of people who are using oppression to try to get marginalized growth. They see them as human beings, which makes the line of demarcation between white people and Nikki white people, because they're not the same. Within this dynamic, it's forcing us to, as we move forward, one of the biggest things we got to do is hopefully put ourselves as people of color in a position to change the paradigm of how people leverage our vote. I think we have to now galvanize our wealth, our resources, and our thought processes. And that's just not wealth and resources from a standpoint of finance. We have a wealth of resource from intellect, from connectivity, and from movement and mobilization. With that, we got to take it to the people that we want behind our support and our voice, i.e., we're getting ready to have a runoff. We went out in major numbers, but records show and history shows we don't come back for runoffs. So we now have to make sure that we do the same thing from a movement standpoint we did for the presidential election, every election in the space. And then we need Nikki white people to be able to voice to the other white people that this just doesn't make sense and we can't just tolerate it simply because we agree with one or two concepts, but the rest of the undertone of it minimizes an entire group, ethnicity, and race of people.
Thank you, Kingmaker. Thank you so much. Let's kick it over to Nikki. Nikki, final thoughts. What do we do now that the election has been called?
Well, I'm in Georgia, so I'm going to say to all my Georgia people, January 5th is the vote. So go vote. Go vote like you voted this time. Go out in the numbers that you voted, just like you did this time. If you voted in the primary, go and vote. If you didn't vote in the primary, go vote anyway. So in the runoff. And so vote. Get out and vote. But to white people, I would say, examine everything. That is the work of white people. If a phrase comes out of your mouth and you're like, oh, that's a colloquialism and I don't really know where that came from, go look it up, Google it, find out if it's a racist statement. I have done that over the last 4 years, and there are several things that I try real hard not to say anymore. Examine the way that you connect with your friends of color. If you have friends of color, make sure that it's not superficial. Sit down and talk to them, ask them questions, get their perspective. I think the work of white people is to examine everything, examine friendships, examine family relationships, examine your vote and why you vote the way that you do. Diversify who you read so that you have a multiplicity of ideas sitting in front of you to inform how you think and decisions that you make and perceptions that you have. And then I would say that support Black business. If you have to cater something, don't go to the person you usually do. Find a person of color to cater your event. If you need some clothing, men, call P Squared. It's a Black-owned business, high-end clothing. Support your friends of color in that way. If you've got to open a bank account, go to a Black bank. Support Black business. And I would say the last thing is, it's exactly what we do here on Holy Smokes. And it is respect and listen to and honor the lived experiences of the people in your life and the people in your community.
Nikki always finds a way to anchor us. Thank you so much, Nikki. Myron, final thoughts, man. What do we do now?
I feel like we should have closed with Nikki there. I don't have anything to say nearly as eloquent as that. I usually am very pessimistic as it relates to justice and racial issues and politics, because every time my hopes get high, they get dashed. But in this space, this is what I want to say. I want to say that this work is not Sisyphean in any way. That we have got to push forward with the work. I'm so confused. What did I say?
What was it for? What was it for?
What did I say?
Somebody, one of the producers, tell
Word.
us
Give me the word.
what
Give me
word
the
was
word.
that? Servian.
Oh, Sisyphean. That's the
Sisyphean.
it just rolled off the tongue, y'all. It was
All right. Define.
Sisyphean. It's from the character in Greek mythology who was punished by pushing the boulder uphill, but every time he got to the top of the hill, the boulder would roll back down. So his punishment was to be in that endless cycle of pushing the boulder up and rolling it down. So it means this endless and rote task that will never be accomplished. So if something is Sisyphean, it means that it's an endless and rote task that will never be accomplished. And what I'm saying is that the work of justice, while it looks like it's Sisyphean, it is not Sisyphean. That we push a little every day, but we make progress a lot over time. And so I may not see this completely done in my lifetime, but I'm committed to moving the boulder forward, because I just believe that one day we're going to have a more equitable society. We're going to remove people from the margins and they're going to be included. I don't know when that'll happen, but my hope is that it will. And that's where I'm shutting down.
We got a dollar jar in there. Thank you, Myron. We knew you'd come through for us.
I didn't even realize I had said that word.
I mean, the explanation was great. Like, it was a great explanation.
Yeah.
It was a timely word, but we didn't know what you were talking about.
I was just flowing too. I was just gone.
Absolutely. So I want to say why I was disappointed. I said earlier I was disappointed about the election, and I was really disappointed in myself. I was disappointed in myself because I really believed that after watching Trump for the past 4 years, people would say, we can't do this. We can't continue in this. And then 70 million people voted for Donald Trump. And I was disappointed in myself because I was like, Christian, you know better. You know better. And yeah, you try to have a positive outlook, but you know better. You should not have expected that. You shouldn't have. I gave everybody a pass in 2016. Dave Chappelle on Saturday Night Live said in 2016, let's give him a chance and hopefully he'll give us one. So we gave him a chance and he did a shitty job. And then we said, let's do it again. 70 million people said, let's do it again. I was disappointed in myself for expecting more. So what do we do from here? I'm going to go back to the greatest commandment. Greatest commandment says that you love God and how you love your neighbor as yourself. You have to understand what it means to love yourself. You really have to understand what that means. So when I say I love my neighbor as myself, that means I'm not going to require myself to sacrifice my needs so my neighbors can have their wants. At the same time, I'm not going to pursue my wants at the expense of my neighbor's needs.
Yes.
If we all could embrace that, black, white, male, female, gay, straight, transgender, cisgender, poor, rich, evangelical, Muslim, atheist, progressive, conservative, if we could all embrace that, I believe the world would be such a better place. And I'm holding out hope that we'll keep pushing this boulder an inch a day and get closer and closer. This is the end of season 2 of Holy Smokes, Cigars and Spirituality. Thank you to our patrons. Thank you to everybody on the podcast platforms. Thank you to our listeners at Fam Radio. We got some special stuff that we'll do in the off season too. But as far as that,
Is that
that's it. So
this the
it's
end
the
of
end of
the
the
season
season.
already?
It
So
flew.
season
It's a
Wow.
wrap. Doc.
season 3, January 2021. We'll be back with some more hotness. Peace out. We love y'all.
Bye, folks.